Oh, we're live. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, 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 oh. Interesting. Interesting. Let's see.
Random!
Okay. We are live. Turns out. Welcome to a very SuNdAy live. Very SuNdAy live. Well, what does that mean? Let's go over some good news. There's some good news out there. I found it for you. I'm here reporting for duty. Duty for reporting. Sarcastalism. What would journalism with sarcastic be? Journalistic? No, that sounds like scholastic. Sarcastalism? I think that's sarcastic journalism. But we joke about the news because the news is a joke most of the time. Great. Everybody on pitch? Did you sing along? There's some interesting things in the news. Did you see France is pushing for a billionaires tax? That's good news. Solidarity, France. If you don't know France, I know this billionaire. I don't even know his name. France's richest man, LVMH's Arnault, slams proposed billionaires tax. Listen, here in Massachusetts, the billionaire families, we didn't even tax billionaires, we tax millionaires. And the billionaire families, they'll all say it's no good. It's economically, technically, spectacally, emphatically, juridically, regrettably, electically, superlatively. They'll say all these big words to say, like, it doesn't work, okay? This guy, who has billions of dollars, does not have to worry about rent or price of egg, and he claims the wealth tax plan is ideologically biased. Yeah, it's biased against billionaires because they're hoarding all the wealth. And he didn't even say, like, this is the billionaire's quote. Hold on. This is clearly not a technical or economic debate, but rather a clearly stated desire to destroy the French economy. That's what the billionaire said. But that face that has billions of dollars wants you French people to believe that a tax on the wealthy doesn't work. And I just want to remind you that here in Massachusetts, we did that. We did a millionaire's tax, not even a billionaire's tax. In France, they're talking about, have you seen the protests in the streets, solidarity with you? But this is good news, because if they get this French billionaire's tax passed, once it passes and they have massive amount in tax revenue to do things like here in Massachusetts, we did a millionaire's tax and we collected $2 billion more in tax revenue than expected. And no kid in Massachusetts has to pay for their school breakfast or lunch. There's no more school debt. And if you want to get a bachelor's degree here in Massachusetts, you could do it for free at the community college. So it was really good for the community. Yeah, the billionaires had to pay a little bit more. They couldn't, I don't even know what they couldn't do, because you could still do anything you want with $1 billion. But people in France, Darine, if you could pass this message to the rest of the French speakers, taxing wealth works. And the good thing is if France passes this billionaire's tax, if they don't listen to this one really old guy who's like, this isn't fair. This guy is like, he's not basing it off of like how it will help anything. He doesn't want to be taxed. But if they pass it and then they can show the fruits of that billionaire's tax, other countries will have more to look to than just Massachusetts right now. And do you notice you probably hadn't heard of the Massachusetts millionaire's tax? They don't report on it too much. In fact, this is Americans for Tax Fairness bringing it to your attention. I brought it to your attention. I bring it to your attention every live stream. Because again, it's good news for kids to not have to worry about paying for food at school. Like, that's good for all of us. You ever been a student? You ever been hungry? You ever been a hungry student and tried to learn? It's very, very tough to do. So kids shouldn't have to worry about money. They should just be able to eat at school. And the billionaires like this guy who looks like, he's on the verge of becoming an evil villain in a cartoon movie. That guy can just, maybe not buy his avocado toast in Monaco when he goes. Maybe don't get a new iPhone every year, billionaire. Maybe don't get 3 new iPhones. Maybe don't, go to the Formula One F1 in Monaco. You know, and you can afford that tax. Maybe if you're not going to the Monaco Grand Prix all the time and buying a new iPhone, you know, maybe if you stop doing that, maybe if you stopped eating escargot every morning, maybe just limit yourself to once a week. Maybe if the billionaires just started acting economically, you know, did they ever think about that? Billionaires? Did you ever consider just not having avocado toast with escargot on it? And then you don't have to worry about that tax. So that's some good news. Good on you, France. Good on you, France. Ba-dum. Good on you, France. Do we have a good on you soundbite? We don't. We have a more news coming at you. When the billionaire tells you that the tax on him isn't good, just know
it's a trap.
It's a trap. He doesn't want to pay taxes. He can afford it. But I say, how about you limit your escargot to once a month? Okay? A guy with a nose that looks like an evil villain. Look at that hairline. That's a very Montgomery Burns hairline, too. He's got the nose and hair of what's his name? Monty Burns. What's up, Edward Thornton? Timothy, good to see you. Dirt Dart, again, another person who likes the bootlick for the billionaires, is here again. You know, you can't stop them. They want to hear this because they're probably surrounded by people in life that tell you, just if you worship these billionaires, stop looking at Jesus. Start worshiping these billionaires a little more. And if you do, the pain won't be as painful. Timothy, they're always talking to me, and let him bark up that tree. I won't even read his comments. Poor soul. Poor little soul. He's probably, Dirt, were you one of these people? Did you go to the RNC and help crash the Grindr dating app? Keep seeing that story. That's funny. But we got more good news. I know yesterday I was talking about, hey, what's up, Crash? I think he's talking to himself. Probably. So listen, yesterday we talked about Kimmel. So let's go over. We got a lot of good news.
And the enemy is the oligarchy.
That's right. So I got some audio for you. The billionaires tax in France. I was seeing the protests. Good for the people. Speak out. Tax these billionaires. There's only I don't know how many in France, but there can't be more than 1,000. It's like, just fucking tax them. Don't even ask their opinion. Tell them to shut up and stop eating avocado toast. You know, we're going to go over how many Americans are MAGA. New report showing not as many as you think. And then what was the other news? Oh, where is it? Did I not bring it up? Really? Did you not bring it up? Oh, no, I have it in front of me. That's why. I don't know if you've seen this. Gavin Newscomb, very clever. I think that's what ADH Dementia Don called him. Is trying to provoke Bobbert Richard with saying, he tweeted, is this the tweet? Because of his horrific music, California will indefinitely suspend Kid Rock from performing in the Golden State. You're welcome. And I love this tweet that Gavin Newsom did. Has anybody noticed that since I said I hate Kid Rock, he's no longer hot? I mean, this is, again, just mocking the president. But it's funny when it's done in jest, and when it's a serious tweet, it's kind of sad. You know, when you're... As a joke, this is hilarious. When somebody is saying this seriously, it's very sad. Again, I'm trying to get Merriam Webster's attention, the dictionary. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Dictionary, if you people are watching, I did create a new word in the year of our Lord 2025, sad-larious. It means it's sad but hilarious. It's, we're dying on the inside while we're laughing on the outside. So we're going to go over that news too. But, did you see Don walking? Oh my, if you haven't seen this video, find it. He's walking at night, and right here, I captured the moment where he collides into Melania. We talked the other day. Oh, we're going to get to the Jimmy Kimmel stuff. I want to break down the Jimmy Kimmel $4 billion man. But let's go over some meme news. I don't know if this is a meme. Picture news. News via photo. News that that speaks 1,000 words. So we were talking yesterday about AD Dementia Don, and how he's been reportedly holding Melania's hand a lot more. And if you don't know, Melania is notorious for saying, like, "Don't touch me," in that thick Slovenian accent or whatever. She don't want old crusty chode fingers to be touching her. And there's a video of him getting off, Qatar Force One, and walking, and he's not holding her hand, and he collides into her. And you're like, is he a drunk toddler? What is going on? And he collides into her, and then they hold hands, and she kind of guides him the rest of the way. So, it's the president's just having trouble walking in a straight line. Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here, folks. What else do we have for news? I'm trying to find what else we had for news. Oh, did you see this? Because there's a lot of people that are getting the watered down whitewash version of old Chuck Kirk. And somebody was pointing out that it might be a psyop. Because if you see these reactions by different people with different interactions online, but they're all saying the same thing. As a lifelong Democrat, I didn't know what to make of Charlie. Old Chuck Kirk. I've since spent several lunch breaks watching his debates, full videos, and come away with the impression that we got him all wrong. Well, unless you thought he was a decent dude and then watched the stuff and went, oh shit, he's, a racist, like a vile racist, then this might look like a psyop. And if you know anything about our government, they love a good psyop. They love infiltrating and pretending. I mean, let's face it, all governments do, the Chinese, the Russians, the South and North Koreans, the what's that other country called? What's the place where the war was? I think Trump knows.
Azerbaijan and Albania.
Azerbaijan and Albania. They love a good psyop. So just pay attention, because I know there's some young kids out there that are like, well, what's wrong with them? I see it in the chat all the time. And it's like, well, just go. If you ever wonder when someone passes away and like nobody puts quotes that they said next to them, that's your first inkling. But number two, just go listen to the stuff he said in its context, because you don't really need much context when someone says, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to question whether or not they're qualified. Like that, folks, is flat out racism. It's just flat out racism. That's like next to, again, Merriam-Webster's dictionary. They should just have that clip playing, because that's what you call racism. If you judge somebody by the color of their skin, that's textbook racism. So it's interesting to see the government maybe working in mysterious ways, as U2's frontman Bono once said. Good to see you guys. I'm not going to play any clips of him, Steve, but thank you. Why don't you go back to Tim Pool's stream? I'm shocked he didn't say Aberdeen. Crash. I said that the other day. I thought he was going to say Aberdeen in Albania. Just a reminder, people didn't vote for Biden. They voted against Trump. It's so funny. So many. It looks like we got the psyops in the chat. A lot of psyops, a lot of bootlickers, a lot of people that say, this guy, this billionaire, don't tax him, France. He needs all that money. how else is he going to keep going to the Monaco Grand Prix? Well, I say he should stop eating so much escargot. Has he ever considered that? A 2%, they're proposing a 2% tax on anything over $100 million. And I mean, if you can't, if you made over $100 million and you can't afford to pay 2% more, or 2% in taxes of your salary over $100 million, let me just tell you, you're living outside of your means. I hate to be the one to break this to you. I don't like to, and a lot of people are also saying it. There's a lot of people saying this, but French billionaire, I wish that was his first name. You know, like Elon Musk was his dad, and he was like, "We're just gonna name him capital LVMH," and the pi sign at the end. Middle name is the pi sign. Remember when people used to make fun of like woke people? Like, what was her name? Cameron Diaz? Is that her? Or Gwyneth Paltrow? She named her kid Apple, and people were like, "Oh, goddamn wokeists." Meanwhile, you got Elon Musk. He's like, capital Ishwa, middle name Pi, and then Pythagoras theorem, Darwin Award, upside down exclamation point, and alien emoji. He's like, and that's my kid's name. And the writer like, oh, so traditional values, man. and then some like Hollywood person will be like, I'm naming my child River. And people are like, God damn the left mob, we gotta burn all the books. And Elon's like, I love this French billionaire. I'm gonna name my son capital LVMH. Do they hear themselves? This is another sad, hilarious thing. But there's a lot of people in the chat that are like, you know, don't tax this guy. How dare, that's an assault on his freedoms. And it's like, I'm here to be the one that's gonna break from the norm. I'm gonna swim upstream right now and just tell you, if Mr. LVMH Arnault can't afford a 2% tax on anything over 100 million, he's living outside of his means. I said it. I know it's like so unpopular with the Deep South Republicans that, you know, are just as poor as the working class in France, maybe poorer with a worse education and medical debt. But I know you bots are gonna get really mad. But I'm gonna stick to my guns on this one and say, if he can't afford that 2% tax on his money over 100 million, maybe he's living outside of his means. You know, what is costing you? How are you at 100 million plus yearly? How are you living outside of your means at that point? You know, I would really question that guy. I'm not questioning the people who are like minimum wage and people who are like, you're spending wrong. You're living outside of your means. I had somebody say that in the live, and I'm like, you understand, like, you know, making 26K a year, there are no means to be had. You're like choosing shit. And then people, when you talk about a billionaire's tax, people will be like, God damn it, he earned all that money. That's an assault on God himself. And you're just like, dude, let's break this down realistically. Number one, Massachusetts, when you tax billionaires, which we tax millionaires, and we had 2 billion more in tax revenue, no kid goes hungry in Massachusetts at school, free lunch, free breakfast. And also, if you want to get a bachelor's degree, you don't have one, you can go to the community college, right? So taxing million and billionaires works. It's good for the community. They don't like it. Why? I don't know, because again, this is what we're getting at. If you are living paycheck to paycheck at over 100 million a year, you're handling your money wrong. You're irresponsible. This guy is irresponsible if he thinks a 2% tax on over $100 million, and he's a billionaire, okay? So he has over 10 of the $100 million a year. Would it be 10? I'm not a math statistician. I'm not a math surgeon. I'm no numbers doctor, okay? So I think he would have 10 of the $100 million. But if you have 10 of those and you're worried at about 2% on one of those, then you're eating too many snails, you know? You're living outside of your means. Let's just say it. Let's call it what it is. Okay? That's what it is, folks. Because it's proven to help the communities. He clearly doesn't. Let me ask you this for all you bootlickers. I want to know in the chat. When's the last time you saw a billionaire going to the grocery store supporting a local business by you? I'll wait. Because I want to see in the chat. When's the last time like you were brushing shoulders with these billionaires? Because if you're going to defend them, then I want to hear about how they help our communities, how they're, supporting local businesses. They're making sure that everything's good and dandy and your potholes are all covered up and, you know. When's the last time you brushed shoulders with them? See, they don't like you. They love that you'll be little tattletales and you'll be staunch defenders, but these billionaires don't like you. And I'm just going to be honest with them, They don't pay their employees enough. They create jobs where people need 2 or 3 of them. They don't, advocate when they're lobbying for anything that helps workers. And now they're saying a 2% tax might break them? What kind of bully victim are they? I mean, these billionaires, if you can't afford a 2% tax, to my people in France, solidarity with you, we got to have this here in America. Tax wealth, not work. Because this guy ain't working. I'm sorry, he ain't working. Bitch, he ain't working. Bye-bye, okay? But if a 2% tax on anything over 100 million, that's the proposed tax, billionaires tax in France, is going to break you or make you do interviews to fight against it, then let me just say, you're living outside of your means. Where's your money going? How many new iPhones do you have? Are you eating a lot of avocado toast? Can you tell me the price of avocado toast? So don't defend them, folks, okay? It's bad for the world, for all those people who are like, they're hoarding all, they're taking our jobs and our money. Well, unless you're talking about billionaires, they're the ones that took the good jobs and they replaced them with, you'll do the job of all the people we just laid off with no increase in pay. And if they didn't do that, they maybe outsourced your jobs. And then, ironically, had you blame immigrants, because the immigrants aren't taking your jobs. It's the billionaires that are the job creators, who are the ones that said, you know what, we can pay people who don't have unions or good workers' rights laws, we can pay them much less. So we're going to send the jobs over there. But yeah, keep blaming the immigrants. But if you're one of those people, I want you to think about who has all the money. Who controls the jobs? Who shipped the jobs overseas? Who made you work 2 or 3 jobs? Who set the standard for the pay across the board? Do you know who fights against raising the minimum wage? I do. I've testified at the State House against these people. It's not them. They don't go. They don't do anything. And that's what I was saying. You don't rub shoulders with these people. They get mad if you track their planes. They don't like your communities. They don't want to be near your communities. Why do you think they have gated ones? Why do you think they live far away from you? Why do you think they never appear in public? Why do you think they don't do stuff on their own? Unless it's a speaking event with high security. I'll tell you why. Because they'll pay. Like the Tim Pools, the Crowders, they pay those people to make you think, who's in charge of the jobs? Well, clearly immigrants. Who has all the money? Well, it's clearly the people crossing a border with nothing on their back. They're the ones hoarding all the money. I want you to use some critical thinking here, folks. Why do you think they don't want to be taxed 2% on $100 million? Well, they're infected with the greed gene. It's a horrible thing. You see it rampant all the time. And you see it sometimes. And I just want to say one more time about this guy. If he can't afford a 2% tax on anything over 100 million, and he's a billionaire, he has 10 times that, he's living irresponsibly. He's living outside of his means. No more escargot for you. No. Look at those lips. Those are escargot lips, if I've ever seen them. He could suck the snail right out of that shell, right? And he goes, watch this, man, no hands. And he goes, these perverts. He's sucking the shell, the little snail right out, and then he lets it dangle on his tongue, and all you clap. Let me just say, okay, now that we've established, because it is SuNdAy, folks, and I worship the magic man God, Jesus, who came down and said, be nice to everybody and help the homeless and feed kids and don't charge a copay for your health insurance. That's what Jesus said. Long pause and finish. Okay. But I would say if that guy can't, if that billionaire who has 10 times 100 million can't pay his 2% tax that they're proposing on 100 million, then he doesn't deserve the billion. He who is faithful in a very little is also faithful in much. And he who is dishonest in a very little thing is also dishonest in much. That makes me think of my president, how he has never said the words that Jesus Christ is his Lord. That's how you know. He's deceiving all those Baptists. Is that who it is? Baptist? Is that what Joel Osteen, Prosperity Gospels? I know them. You could see right through Joel Osteen's, right? He's like, hey, plant your seed. You know the seed. They have to call it seed because he can't say, give me your money. And then they're like, please, Joel, we know you have a 10,000-foot church. Our towns are flooded. Can we come in? And he's like, boom. Slamming the doors. He's like, sorry, we just got new carpets and you people are gross. But listen to me for a second, okay? Release the files and the F files, people. We've been saying release the files for a while. And I think Donald Trump, because he has like a 4th grade spelling comprehension and reading comprehension, I think he thought we meant the PH files. Have you noticed that? Because we said release the files. And then he took Ghislaine Maxwell, he wished her well, and then he moved her out of a prison to like a camp. So I was like, oh shit, he didn't get it. He thought it was release the PH files. So we have to be clear. We mean release the files, the Epstein files, which he is in, and he's releasing the PH files. So let's be clear on that. But that wasn't even it. Jimmy Billion, the $4 billion man. Jimmy Billions, is that his name? That's his name now. Deal with it. Don't like it, do your own live stream. You ever had iced peppermint tea? My Christ, it is a heal-all. I believe that's what Jesus drank when he was parched in the desert. Anyways, Jimmy Billion. It cost Disney $3.87 billion. And yesterday we talked about this. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. This is like a long, like, what do they call the soap operas? My stories. This is like a story. You know, I do a live stream almost every day. So hit subscribe so you can follow along. And yesterday we talked about this, but I said, how do they know 3.87 billion? You know, and then leave it to Reddit. Now, again, take all this with a grain of salt because I don't know the maths are mathing on this one. But I just wanted to show you because if I find it, I want to show it to you. And if you go, yeah, that makes sense and cool. And if you're like, no, it doesn't make sense and cool. I just found it interesting. So somebody broke it down. It said, this is over the Jimmy Kimmel, Disney, ABC, Sinclair, Tengu, Tengastar, Nexstar, the merger, the government threatening, saying we don't like what you're saying, the government infringing on your free speech, and Disney serving power, serving power. Disney, corporations, they're not your friend. I know they got some cool mascots, but I hate to break it to you, they ain't your friend. They only exist for profit, only to make money. So those Coca-Cola bears, they might be cute, but they ain't your friend. I hate to break it to you. Well, I kind of like breaking that one to you. But Disney, they say Disney didn't just lose 3.8 billion overnight. If the boycott sticks, sorry, I can't read that. It could turn into 20 billion. This is how you fight fascism. Day one confirmed. Disney suspended Kimmel for speaking out. The stock dropped 1.9% with the 200 billion market cap. That is about 3.8 billion erased overnight. Ad revenue loss. Kimmel's show alone generated around 70 million in ads annually, gone. Disney Plus cancellations. Disney Plus is 128 million subscribers worldwide. Average revenue per user is $7.55 per month. If 10% cancel and stay gone, it's 1.16 billion per year lost. If 20% cancel, it's 2.32 billion per year lost. Total impact. Day one, 1.9 cent drop plus cancellations plus ad loss, 5 to 6 billion gone. If stock slides down 5%, 11, 12 billion gone. If stock slides to 10%, what does that say? 21 to 22 billion gone. And then they say why this matters. Hold on, that's the next slide. I feel like I'm presenting PowerPoints. I should get a little pointer thing. Why this matters. This is, I can't read it. The timestamp's right there. This is something, you read it at home. It is cancel, no, I'm good. It is cancel corporate fascism. That's right. We have corporate fascism here in America because they cave immediately to the government. The government threatens the regulations, the licensing that they regulate, and immediately they're like, you don't like him? He said not nice jokes about Donald Trump? Okay, get rid of him. And then Donald Trump went on to say Jimmy Fallon's next, Seth Meyers is next. So when Disney caves to Trump-era pressure, silencing a late-night host for calling out authoritarian grifters, they're not just making a programming decision, they're signaling that the voices of power matter more than the voices of people. Now listen, you might be saying like I am, like, of course, duh. But this is good for people that maybe haven't heard or seen this. Because corporations, and I've worked for plenty of them, they don't care about you. When I was growing up, there used to be Christmas bonuses, used to be rewarded for your duration at a company. Now they try to make turnover rates higher so nobody can unionize. The Christmas bonuses are like a gift card to something. They cut a deal with another company so it's never money. They've really eroded everything. Your stock options, your retirements, your pension, you name it, your rights. The fact that you have to earn sick time here in America, something lobbied for by these corporations, is just disgusting. I want you to think about that. And then I want you to go look up or talk to somebody that you know that lives in Europe and ask them how that is. But this is important. They're signaling that voices of power matter more than the voices of people. And they're only doing that because they think serving power is in their best profitable interest. They think serving power will keep them the most profitable. But what they don't understand, and this is what I try to teach these corporations, this is why I'm a CEO coach and a vibe guru. Corporations, what you don't understand is it used to be the customer's always right. Then it was we care about our employees. And now it's the stockholders, the only thing we care about. And who's the stockholder? Most likely BlackRock and the CEO. And that's bad for business. You want to know why? Because if the people don't have money to buy your product, you stop getting the money. It's as simple as that. And if, for those who don't know, the economy is 70% consumer purchasing power. Here in America, 70% of the economy is us, consumers, being able to purchase things. So if they don't want to pay us enough, it's just the short-sightedness. You know, they don't have that long vision of like, how do we keep our communities healthy? Well, they don't care. They don't care because if they did, they would pay people more. Go look up like cornflake capitalism and Henry Ford. Outside of the monstrous things they did, they learned valuable lessons about unions fighting for the weekend. It turns out when people have time and money, they'll purchase your product. But we don't have the whole time for the whole history lesson today. Remember, this is a live stream. Hit subscribe and the notification bell. And it's a very SuNdAy live. So we got to keep on task. But they are signaling that the voices of power matter more than the voices of people until it starts costing them billions of dollars, and watch them walk it back. This is what I mean. Corporations are not your friend unless you have friends like this. Do you have friends who will just go wherever the money is? Because as your official YouTube vibe coach, let me just say, you need new friends. God, we might have to take a moment. I'm talking to you. You know who you are. I just said that they're signaling the voices of power matter more than the voices of people until the people start withholding their money. You know, so they're just serving their God money. Remember, Jesus said you can't serve two masters. You either serve God or serve money. Corporations have decided they don't worship Jesus, they worship money. And they went with power because they thought that was the money. And then the people said, we're going to withhold our money. And then they're going to turn around and go, oh shit, do people actually pay us? But I want to talk to you, who that struck a chord with, you know, because you went, fuck, my friends do that. And listen, I know it's hard to get new friends. I understand that. I really do. But I want you to start putting some feelers out, okay? I need you to really take a good, long, deep think I want you to focus on your breathing, do about 10 breaths, deep breaths. And then I want you to think, am I in a good relationship? This friend, this lover, this whoever. And I just want you to consider if they're serving two masters, as we say in corporate speak. That's religious speak, god damn it. And I just want you to maybe try something you've been wanting to do. Go to that cooking class, drawing class. Oh, we can't afford shit right now. Take a walk and say hi to people. You know what I did the other day coming home? There was this old guy. I don't know if he was lost or what, but he was sitting at the edge of the woods with a cane, and he just was sitting there. And I slowed down, rolled down my window, and I waved so hard to that old dude. And he waved back. And then I realized he must think he knows me from somewhere, but doesn't realize it because of how hard I was waving at it. But he smiled, and that was like a little bit of joy for me. So who knows? You know, you could find a friend anywhere. Let's get back to this. The response, people canceled Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN. They walked. They hit the stock, and billions evaporated. This is how you fight fascism, folks, not just with words. You don't always have to use your words. You should, but you don't. Sometimes you use your pocketbook. But with sustained economic pressures that forces corporations to choose between authoritarian appeasement, because that's what they're doing. You know, they're saying, oh, you don't like the comedian who makes jokes? Okay, we get rid of him. We'll get rid of him, sir. And their bottom line. Sorry, there was a long space in there. I thought it'd be funny. The Trump crowd flexed, and the people flexed harder. If this momentum holds, the losses do not stop at 3.8 billion. They keep leading into 10, 20 billion. It is proof collective action can cost empires billions. And I'm for it, you know, make them hurt in the pocketbook, you know, just cancel everything. I mean, I don't really have much money, so there's not really, like, I would love to withhold my money, but the secret that I hold is I have no money. The secret I hold is I can't even spend any money. All mine goes to my health insurance. So, and then they said, edit. Someone in the comments pointed out the potential impact on Disney's theme parks, and they were right. Numbers are massive, massive. But there's already people. I hate seeing these YouTubers. There are YouTube channels about old folks that go to Disney or grown folks. And they've made these videos where they're like, Disney is pricing us out. They just want like the super elite rich people. And I thought, what a horrible thing. You know, in my America, when I become King, Emperor, Lord, Prince the First, and Prince as in like all seven and we'll watch them fall, not as like Prince with the crown. I mean like Minnesota Prince. I think every kid we should schedule, you know, every child to go to Disney once, you know. That's just like a given. Before you hit the age of 10, you get one taxpayer paid trip to Disney for 10 days, all parks, you know, and we just force it upon them. I mean, this regime right now is showing them you can force anything upon corporations. So why can't we do like cool shit, you know? Like anyone, and you know what? If you don't have kids, if you're good, because we know we're gonna hear from the people like, "Well, I don't have kids. What do I get?" You could go too, you dummy. And you can pretend the whole time like I'm just going because I don't have a kid, and you silently enjoy it. We don't give a shit, okay? It's fine. It's a cool place to go. Michael, I prefer Six Flags. All right, and then we get the people who are like, I prefer Six Flags. You know what? We do a tax credit. God damn it! In my imagination, now you're making me work out the tax credits on this thing. So fine, Michael, we work a tax credit for those who want Six Flags. And if I hear any motherfuckers saying that they like Knott's Berry Farm, I'm going to lose it, and you're all not going. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. You guys are too much for me sometimes. You know that? And I say that out loud.
The what?
Them. They are just, you know.
Random.
All right. I think that was all. So I wanted to that was all with that. Now let's get into how many Americans are MAGA. I posed this question because, you know, they're awfully loud, but I don't think there's a lot of them. And this fart's numbers are plummeting every day. So there was this thing on Reddit that I thought was interesting because it said like only 17% of adults, like full ass grown adults, are registered Republicans who consider themselves MAGA out of this polling. Again, take the polls for what you will. I'm not here to question what you think about what I think about what the news thinks. Okay? Just take it what you will. I know everybody's got an opinion, so go do your own podcast. God damn. KRAR, hold on. They're milking this for everyone. The funeral's sick. Yeah, I don't even pay attention because these dudes don't care. You know, it's so funny. They're like, you better mourn properly. And then someone asked Donald Trump, they were like, how are you mourning? I think I even have the clip. They were like, how are you mourning? And he's like, did you see the trucks? Hold on, where do I have it? Do I have the clip? What Trump clip is this?
He died like a dog. He died like a coward.
Oh, Donald, you shouldn't say that. My God. I can't find the clip. But you know what I mean? Like, he was like, look at the ballroom. Look at all the trucks. And they were like, this is how you're mourning? And then Jimmy Kimmel made a joke.
He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction.
But I thought, you know, and this shows you power doesn't panic, but they're panicking. So it shows you they don't have, you know, control. They're not popular. This should give you some hope, some good news, because this whole article linked down below, I try to link everything down below, talked about as many as 6 in 10 Republicans since 2022 thought of themselves as MAGA Republicans. And what MAGA means is that you don't care about America, you just care about Trump and his feelings. That's what MAGA means, just so we're clear. You don't give a shit about your neighbors, yourself, anything else. You just worship the golden calf that is spray painted orange, the Nepo baby. You know, his daddy, Fred, gave him everything he's got, hired him, gave him millions of dollars. He just took over his daddy's empire, and then every business he tried to start, waters, planes, casinos, steaks, schools, foundations, everything failed. And now he's got a solid base, which if you took 70% of American adults and had them pay you for Chinese Bibles with the Bill of Rights in it, you know, and buy meme coins, you could make a ton of money. But anyone that considers themselves MAGA, whatever they're telling you, it's irrelevant because they do everything in worship of this golden calf. Jesus, they don't care. Family, they don't care. Themselves, they don't care. It's all to appease him. I've never heard anyone that considers himself MAGA criticize him. Ever. Ever. They all have to worship him. Why? Because you saw what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. He didn't like the joke about him. Get him fired. Threaten him. Use the government to threaten their licenses. So I thought it's fascinating because, I don't know, I worked in radio for a long time, and you know that the people who are loudest can sometimes appear to be more than they are, you know? And when you start to realize that there's not as many as you think, they just go everywhere and they have a lot of bots. They have psyops, like we talked about earlier with Mr. Kirk. But this was mapping out the self-identified MAGA Republicans as the share of Republicans and U.S. adult citizens. So in the Republican Party, of course, is going to be higher because Republicans are like sadomasochists, you know. They'll say anything just to have their agenda done. And their agenda is protect corporations, protect the wealthy, strip poor people and marginalized people of any rights they have, and protect, you know, basically wealthy, powerful people at all costs. And that's it. In the name of the Lord, Jesus Christ, of course. You know, the guy who was like, be a humble servant. They're like, we strip all this money from poor people and have all this power in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, of course. Also, I wanted to bring out that I wore my Don't Tread on Me shirt because I always thought of this shirt as like, don't tread on me, meaning the colloquial, the universal, the royal me. Would that be the correct? I always thought of it as the royal me, you know, like all of us. And then you know, over the past few days with all these people who are like, yeah, we're fine with the government infringing on our First Amendment. Yeah, we're fine with the government sending the military to cities. We have our guns for a different reason. You know, those people. I realized, holy shit, they were wearing this shirt and the me was literal. It wasn't a figurative, like, don't tread on me, us, like, and it doesn't say don't tread on us. So I figured it out. They meant like specifically them. It's very selfish. It's a very when I wear this, I don't. I mean, you, no, not you. Behind you, yes, you. I think that's it for right now. But, there's a group of us that I'm like, don't tread on me, meaning us. Those dum-dums, this is why education is so important, folks. Those dum-dums saw this shirt and said, awesome, yeah, do not tread on me. Like me. Those, my neighbor, I don't give a shit about them. This doesn't say don't tread on us. This says don't tread on me. I never realized that these dodos, a lot of people are calling them dummies. A lot. I just call them dodos because they're going to go extinct if they keep letting the government tread on everyone. But it meant just the singular me, not the collective. Very sad day to figure that out. So anyways, back to the math chart. This isn't very SuNdAy, by the way. I'm so sorry. If you showed up at church and I brought out a graph, you'd be mad. So I'm not going to do this for much longer. We're going to go into fun stuff, okay? And boy, do we have fun stuff. We have so many fun things. It's only fun. So Republicans, look at them, 55%. They're like, I'll touch his taint. That's fine. That's fine. Does he need bronzer down there? I'll do it. Okay. They're totally okay. U.S. adult citizens, that sect is only 17%. Still much higher than any normal person would recognize. But then I said, well, what is 17% or 50? What's half of the Republicans, Because you always hear like, oh, there's red states, but you see that they gerrymandered, basically any kind of other vote out of the picture. So I looked it up, and it turns out there's only 37.4 million registered Republicans. I'm not even in this because I'm not registered as either one of those jerks. But let's face it, the Democrats are... their lies are not as bad as their lies. But that's only 37. Let's just call it 40. We'll call this 45. So half of that is only 20. There's only 20 million hardcore maggots left. People that would like bronze orange turds taint, And they would. I know you're like, I wouldn't. But if they kicked down your door with the new ICE raids where they were like, we're looking for more employees. You're going to work for a very low rate. It's called we'll pay you in the future. You'd be like, you ain't got to kick down the door, girl. You'd be like, let me get my hair did and I'll come. So we know you. Again, did you see the news? Governor Newsom said because of his horrific music, California will indefinitely suspend Kid Rock from Bob Richard. He comes from an apple orchard. Did you know that? I seen the house that he came from, old Bob Richard. His dad was like an appler. I don't know what you'd call it. But yeah, Newsom is absolutely nailing the satire right now in the wake of South Park not being here. And I thought this one was funny. Has anyone noticed that since I said I hate Kid Rock, he's no longer hot? Oh my God. And the sad part is he's parodying a presidential tweet. What was this? Ooh. In other no more free speech news, did you see this? What does that say? Reporters at the Pentagon have been told they can no longer report information which has not been approved. Supreme Leader says you got to run everything by me. It's all going to be, that's why the Jogram, the polio Rogan program, the slow polio Rogan program, whatever it's called, I forget. That's state-approved media now, right? Well, it's mainstream. It's lamestream, but it's state-approved. He's got on all Peter Thiel's friends. He's got on Elon, which, by the way, isn't that weird that you haven't heard Elon Musk lately? Because do you guys remember when he was saying...
legalize comedy.
I'm like...
Well, Lottie frickin' God!
You know what I mean? Like, what happened to...
legalize comedy.
Now everything's
Everything's computer.
My God. Joe, do you have anything to say?
Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? And Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me last I saw you.
Joe.
Do you think we're babies?
Yes, I do. Oh, by the way, apparently, the Pentagon won. What did they win? Epstein Distraction of the Hour Award. Ooh. Terrence is giving those out. That's cool. What else do we have? Oh, I wanted to point this out. I don't know if you can read it. Trump says, I paid a couple bucks on legal fees. If you're wondering about all the lawsuits he files, he says, I paid a couple bucks on legal fees, and they spent a whole lot more. I did it to make his life miserable, which I'm happy about. That's a quote from Trump. Let's see if I have a picture of him. I think that's a picture of him. I'm pretty sure. Ooh, by the way, you want to see a picture of one of my favorite animals? I don't know what kind of hyena this is. Does anybody recognize what species? But it is cute as hell. It is cute as hell. I love that hyena. I don't know how I got that hyena, but... Oh, did you see this? Let's play the audio. California becomes the first state to ban face coverings for most law enforcement. But the thing is how do they enforce it? You know, I wish they would just empower the people. Here's the audio of Gavin Newbern. Gavin Newbern. I think that's his name. Gavin Newbern, the Democratic governor of California.
Bill, first in the nation, saying enough.
Enough.
ICE, unmask. What are you afraid of?
Ooh, what are you afraid of? Huh?
What are you afraid of?
Then somebody held up a sign. Slow clap.
What are you afraid of?
I wish he had done it with like an old 30s gang. What are you afraid of? See? Huh? I mean, come on. There are no more rules in politics. The president is like taking jets from Qatar and, you know, making comedians on late night disappear. You know, like there's literally no more law. And he's rich enough to not have to abide by the laws. I wish he would just make a mockery of everything like they already are. I mean, let's just go full bore. What's it? What's it called? The kind of comedy? Absurdist. That's what we need. Absurdist comedy in politics.
You're going to go out and you're going to do enforcement?
Yeah.
Provide an ID.
Ooh.
Tell us which agency you represent.
Yeah, why not?
Provide us basic information that all local law enforcement is required to provide.
Because if not, you're going to have those weirdos going out with their dad jeans and, you know, bulletproof vests they got from the Army surplus store being like, yeah, I'm in enforcement too. I'm the female body inspector. You know that guy. You know. We all know one of them. So, you know him. And he's going to try to pull some sneaky stuff. So, they need to be identified. Take that mask off. What are you hiding? We don't care how ugly you are. You know, your mother still loves you. What else do we got? Holy Shinto. Did you guys see the South Korean president mocking Donald Trump to his face? Audio is on Reddit. I'm going to play it for you. But it says, South Korean president mocks Trump to his face. In quotes, it says, he says, I look forward to you golfing with Kim Jong-un. And then his translator, knowing what he said, has such a hard time. And listen to this. It's crazy. Oh.
메이커로서의 역할을 꼭 해주시길 기대합니다.
And Trump's just looking down. It's so funny. Hold on. What is this? Hold on. Oh, let me leave this out because this goes along with what we're talking about. I don't care how many flag decals you have. Patriotism to me is loving your country enough to educate your children, care for the poor, restore environment, and right our wrongs. Amen to that. So, the South Korean president says, I look forward to you golfing with Kim Jong-un to Trump.
And I would like to mention that...
This is his translator trying to, in real time, not say that, but also say that.
The only remaining divided nation in the world is the Korean Peninsula. And I would like to ask for your role in establishing peace on the Korean Peninsula. So I look forward to your meeting with Chairman Kim Jong-un and construction of a Trump Tower in North Korea and playing golf at that place.
아마
And
기다리고 있을 것 같습니다.
잠깐만.
기다리고 있을 것 같습니다.
So I
Yo. And then he said, I don't believe you've been waiting for you. Listen, the president of South Korea did his translator cold. He should at least give him the heads up, because you hear how the translator like said a bunch of I would have been like, really? He said all that with those few words? But if you haven't seen that, it's so funny. Oh, what a dummy. And then, ooh, we have some really good news. Really good news, folks. Listen to this about Luigi.
Let me explain the brilliant legal strategy that Luigi's lawyers used to get his 2 top state charges dismissed. First-degree murder in furtherance of an act of terrorism, dismissed. Second-degree murder as a crime of terrorism, also dismissed. Prosecutors probably felt confident bringing these charges. They had bullets engraved with delay and deny. They had his manifesto talking about the healthcare industry. So they thought, we have an airtight case here that shows he was trying to scare the public and make a point like a terrorist. But here's the thing, Luigi's married legal team geniusly flipped the script. And they argued, no, it was not Mangione who scared the public. It was, in fact, the police. It was law enforcement. They're the ones who released the manifesto. They're the ones who released what was written on the bullet. Their client, Luigi, was just writing things in private. That manifesto was found in his backpack. He didn't publish it online. He didn't send it to newspapers. In fact, they argue he was not trying to scare the public. And it looks like the judge agreed, because it is not terrorism to act on a belief. It is only terrorism if you are trying to scare, intimidate, or coerce the public or influence a government policy.
Wow. Luigi's team is brilliant, because when you think about it, what did the police try to do, especially with that big New York Arkham Knight display of like flying him in and having the mayor, or was it the mayor? I forget, Eric Adams, and all those security walk him one man like he was, you know, like they got the Joker. But when you think about that, brilliant law team. They said he wasn't trying to do any of that. He didn't publish this stuff. In fact, the police released all that. So all those charges dropped, free Luigi. Patrick, the state really mucked it up, huh? Well, the state really tried to present a narrative, you know, because most people hate insurance CEOs, insurance for healthcare, that gatekeep you from access to healthcare. We should all be in agreement that like that system has to go. It should just be abolished right away. Abolish this healthcare system, take from the best around the world and implement it here. We can pay for it with, some of you are going to say our taxes, but I say we put a billionaire's tax on it, a trillionaire's tax on it, a millionaire's tax on it, and we pay for our healthcare. So nobody ever has to worry about medical debt again. If you get cancer, if your kid needs a wheelchair, if you have a disability, if you can't work, it is paid for through billionaire's taxes. And it's only right, you know, it's morally correct to do. So Jesus says so. He never charged a copay, and I just follow in the steps of my Lord. I keep trying to do it with the water, but I don't know how he floated. Anyways, insurance CEOs were also talking about how they're using AI to deny people. So they're not even paying people. They're just using an AI system, ChatGPT, to deny people. So it really is the most heinous, unethical, corrupt way to delegate healthcare here in America. When you really just think about the humanity of it, there is none. It just exists to make some people rich while others die. And that's it. So free Luigi. What is happening in Austin? The one and only. You can pay for universal health care with 1/4 the military budget, by the way. Yeah. And I'm sure 1/4 of the military budget would just be taxing, like a 2% tax on billionaires. Like, I didn't even figure out those numbers. I'm sure there's a math guy who could do it, you know, a doctor of numbers. But let's be real. If we just tax billionaires, tax corporations, Donald Trump gave all the corporations a permanent tax cut, so they're paying less than you and I, the working people. And if we just tax corporations, trillion-dollar corporations, they talk about trillion-dollar market cap. If we just tax these billionaires and corporations just a little bit, I'm on the extreme end. I say tax them at 100%. After they make $1 billion, everything over 999 million, taxed at 100%. Tax the Illuminati. Yes, DJ Crazy. DJ Crazy Jimmy. They are. It's funny that some people believe there's an Illuminati, but they do not believe the Illuminati is the ones right in front of them avoiding taxes, having the Panama Papers on the Epstein files, that are in full control of all the levers of power right now when they're utilizing them to get rid of, and they're using people, they're believers, they're true believers, they're loyal subjects. They're using those people to tattle and go after the other people who are just using their free speech. It's amazing. And that's how they get it done, folks, just so you know, because they can't have ICE everywhere. They can't deploy the National Guard everywhere. They just don't have the means to, with 340 million people. Even though Trump said 300 million here in America died last year from drugs, that's not true. They can't do it. So what do? They get you to act like a little snitch for them. So don't do that. You know, be disobedient. Get into that good trouble. On taxing rich, let's make it pretty and make leniency be given to those who pay immediately. Teal Rochelle, I like it. Yeah, if they just cough it up right away, there will be no tribunals. Bro, it's Sunday. Get a life and do something else. No, Charles Frischka. Don't you know, my teacher always taught me. He said, they're making laws, they're passing laws while you sleep. So I stopped sleeping. But no, TDS is what the MAGAs have. They're deranged for their one chicken supreme leader. They will follow him to any ends of the earth. They will, you know, spray brush his taint with whatever shade of orange that is. What is that? Like old orange? Day old orange? Is that like bruised peach? What shade of tan does he use? I don't know. You'd probably know. But no, I won't quit. I won't be quiet. Just like my great cousin John Brown helped spark the Civil War because he didn't believe that the Declaration of Independence was actually including all people when they declared freedom and unalienable rights from a King George III who was being tyrannical with the Stamp Tax Act. And wanted to include those people, so he, you know, did a little more than spoke out. But, you know, he spoke out at first. So I will be here to remind you that you can protest in any way you want. Be disobedient in any way. We can come here and I'll show you that patriotism isn't about flying a flag, folks. It's about loving your country enough to educate kids, not have those kids, when they're getting educated, have any school debt. Think about how dumb that is. Just dumb. Like kids are having, and then the corporate lamestream media sells it back to like a feel-good story. Like this kid spent all summer with a lemonade stand to pay off his friend's school debt, school lunch debt. It's like, that's not a feel-good story. That's an indictment on our system. So educate people, and then because it's Sunday, care for the poor. Care for the poor. Does that ring a bell? Any of you people that do stuff on Sundays, does that ring a bell? That's Jesus. This is a Jesus thing. Some of you forgot that. Restore the environment and right our wrongs. I believe in all of it. It's dumb to pay for education, higher education. Yeah, it's dumb to pay for all that. What do you want to be the best at? You want to be the best at having the most billionaires, or do you want to be the best at having the most educated population? Because if you gatekeep education to only those who can pay or whose parents give an endowment or donate a building, then guess what? You're not going to have the smartest education. So just think about it. I know this is common sense stuff, and most people don't think about it. They let Fox News and Tucker Carlson or, you know, Tim Pool tell them how to consider things, or Joe Rogan, who has $100 million, does not give a shit about you unless you are ice bath or a sauna. And, you know, you just hope that he's saying something that kind of makes sense, just enough sense. I wish anybody would go on that show besides a Peter Thiel friend to just call him out. But I guess they're all too scared, you know. They want to be anointed the next comedy czar. Healthcare shouldn't be for profit. That's right. Show me where Jesus cared for the poor. I hope that's a joke, because if not, then just go read any part of the red in the Bible. Any part. Any part. Any part. My Christ, these people are so dumb. Hey now, don't taint sodas. Moxie time. I'm not. Listen. I just don't worship him like Slow Rogan does, okay? Scott Swan, I don't listen to any of those. In fact, the first time I ever seen MSNBC was, I played for you the clip. Lawrence something? I don't even know his name. I don't watch any of that rubbish. Because again, corporate media isn't your friend, Scott. I know you want to think just the CNN isn't your friend, but they're just Republican light. They're not leftists. They don't care about universal health care, universal basic income. They don't care about any of that stuff. So CNN and Fox News are just corporate mouthpieces. That's it. But Fox News doesn't care if your rights are eroded. Fox News is owned by an Australian who does not care for the if America implodes on itself. So I would encourage you to not get your opinions from any of those, but just think of like common sense stuff. Like it's not about how many flags you're flying. It's about, when you say you want America to be great, I say great at what? Because right now we aren't the most educated. In fact, they're attacking education. And for the woke colleges, just so you know, you should look up at how many people graduated from Harvard in Donald Trump's administration. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I want you to actually do some homework here. But go look up how many people went to a Harvard Law School, Harvard School. So when he talks about the woke media, just know he's trying to sell you on don't get an education while everybody who works for me comes from there. But we really need people to understand that, when you want to be the best at something, that means you fully fund education. You make colleges paid for by billionaires' taxes. If you want the best, healthiest people in the world, right now, look it up, folks. I've talked about this on live stream so many times. I'm not going through it again, but we pay the most in the industrialized world for health care, and our lifespan is dropping. It's going down and down and down and down. So you figure if we paid the most, we'd at least be the healthiest, and we are by far from that. Moxie, the U.S. is suffering brain drain right now. We are. Well, it's exhausting. You even see the maggots that come in here and say, oh, TDS, talking about Trump again. It's like, kid, I would love to stop, but this dude is constantly infringing on our rights, constantly grifting from the White House, constantly trying to criminalize people, a felon trying to criminalize people on stuff that it hurt his feelings. He didn't like it. He's trying to tell people to mourn correctly. When this is what he said after Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis. This is what the president said after a cancer diagnosis by the former president.
Very angry, mean Biden. Biden was always a mean guy, but never a smart guy. Even you go back 30 years ago, 40 years ago, he was a stupid guy, but he was always a mean son of a bitch, How's it working? Not working too well for him right now, as it says. So
not working too well for him right now because he got a cancer diagnosis.
When you start feeling sorry for him, remember he was a bad guy.
When you start feeling sorry for him, remember he's a bad guy. That's your president. Now, can we say that about could Jimmy Kimmel go and say that about Charlie Kirk? What he said, he's a mean guy. It's not working good for him now. Could Kimmel say what Donald Trump said without losing his job, without being threatened by the government that they're going to get their license revoked? No. This is what I mean. The hypocrisy. The hypocrisy. The hypocrisy, folks. It's worse than brain drain. It's like this dude is a continuous attack. That's why he just said the other day, he said, smart people don't like me. He said,
Smart people don't like me.
I wonder why. And then what else did he say?
Educated, I love the poorly educated.
He loves the poorly educated. That's for a reason. It's not because they're smart. And then he said,
Smart people don't like me.
Yeah, I know. I know, computer. Southside Burglary says, this is the coolest dude on the internet. I'm hitting subscribe, and I'm probably going to come back every day to remind him. Thank you. Appreciate you. See how propaganda works? Southside, that sounds very negative of optimism. So much hypocrisy. I feel like I'm going insane with the state of the US right now. Well, that's why I'm here on a very SuNdAy live, because we can all feel insane together. And then when the people come in here and go, oh, got a case of TDS, it's like, no, TDS is the people supporting the guy in the Epstein files. You know, that was in so much of the Epstein files. He had to have hundreds of FBI people work on it using our tax money to erase his name from it, and he still won't release it. That's insane. Supporting that, well, you want to protect the children. You don't care about none of that. And Tony Maloney, I'm going to put you in timeout for 24 hours because that's a stupid comment and it's not true. I'm not even going to deal with that stuff. And because you support, you know, your free speech being infringed on by the government, you'll support me timing you out. Because it has nothing to do with when people start saying ratings or he wasn't funny or a liar or any. He's a satirical comedian on late night, and his ratings had nothing to do with it. It had only to do with the FCC, the government, FCC threatening the radio, sorry, not radio. You could tell I worked in radio for too long. Threatening their TV licenses, and the president even directly saying you need to mourn correctly. That's why he's having people like you go out there and defend it, you know, and not understanding that this is the government telling corporations and comedians what they can and cannot say. Even Tucker Carlson, of all people, he came out and said this is dangerous. You know, if they're telling you what you can say, they're telling you what you could think, and they don't think you're a human. And we already went over the whole thing of how Disney was just trying to serve power, you know. We went over their losses, and Disney is just signaling that the voices of power matter more than the voices of people. So they didn't even need to, you know, they could have stood up for them, but they were obedient in advance because they feared this regime. But that's fascism, folks. So satire has even more freedoms. Well, here's the thing. The government can't say, we don't like a late night show host, so you need to fire them. And that's literally what is happening. Hold on, where is my photo? Here it is. Here's, just so you know, the government, that's the president, saying, that leaves Jimmy and Seth. Do it. Fire them. And he tweeted a similar one when Colbert got let go at the end of his contract and said, I heard Jimmy Kimmel is next. That is the government threatening your speech. That's it. So I will mute anyone who says anything other. And the ironic thing about that is you can't complain because you're supporting the government threatening your speech. So if I silence you, you got to go, well, that's just what it was. My ratings weren't, my ratings for my comment weren't good enough. That's what you have to say by law. Remember, folks, because it is a very SuNdAy live. Luke 16:10 in the AMP version of the Bible. He who is faithful in a very little thing is also faithful in much, and he who is dishonest in a very little thing is also dishonest in much. Faithful in a little thing. Would we consider a little thing marriage? Because I know there's this guy who's in a very powerful seat right now. Some say the most powerful public servant seat in the world. He's like the head of a country. I'm not going to name names, but he cheated on all of his wives. He has multiple wives, 3, and he has like 5 kids from these 3 wives. He cheated. And he said like gross things when he was cheating.
I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there. I gotta use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her.
Just in case I start kissing her. He's married, I believe, during that audio. And what a weird thing to say.
I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there.
And I couldn't get there.
Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
It sounds like he's talking about himself. But I don't want to say any names. But he is faithful in very little. Would you consider marriage very little? I don't know. This is a question for the Christians. So the rest of you could take a break. But this is just one for the Christians. That's it. Oxymoron seems to be word of the day. What is going on in the comments? Enjoy the echo chamber. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. While that person goes back to Tim Pool. And he's like, finally, some Russian propaganda I can rest to. Let me lay down. Oh, go. You're funny. A tweet from a president isn't a threat. No, but his FCC chairman saying, I'm going to look into revoking your license, that's a government threat. And the FCC chair, you should look into him. He's a swell guy. Heritage Foundation guy, Project 2025 guy. And usually the FCC doesn't do stuff like that. I worked in radio for 20 years and I've never seen anything like that. Never seen the FCC saying, you made a joke about the president while he was mourning. You know, I've never heard the government say you better mourn correctly. Well, I've heard the North Korean government say that. They have to like mourn when their leader dies. Like they have to like show big displays of affection. But, you know, Goat, you should really read. I would advise reading for you. That's my advice. Facing backlash in a merger deal by heads appointed by the FCC that the president who just condemned that host via tweet is a threat by proxy. Correct. Because yes, there was, just like when Stephen Colbert got let go because there was a merger, because air quotes, am I using them correctly? Stephen Colbert, they said, hey, president, we want this merger to go through. The Ellison billionaires, tax them to 100%. They're creepy looking. They look like, have you seen them? They remind me of like a Purge IRL movie. They both eerily look like they both had the same plastic face implant. But yes, Bad Dog Chief. I appreciate you saying that because it is a veiled threat. And he uses his dogs on a leash, the FCC chairhead, to go and actually threaten them. And that's just an odd thing. The FCC chair usually doesn't come out on a podcast and say like, hey, he wasn't mourning correctly. We're going to look into your licenses being revoked. Like, that's very North Korean. You guys should understand. For all the people who are like, what do you want this to become, Russia, China? It's like, well, we're doing it right now. And it's all Republicans in charge. So, help? Help? I know this shirt says, don't tread on me. And some of you took it very literal. Like, don't tread on just specifically me. But this was like a collective, or the royal me. Is the royal me us? I don't know. I don't speak royal English. What's CHF? I don't know. Is that like dementia? Because I'd say dementia. I'm kind of excited for the ADH dementia to fully take over, you know? And it's just like, my uncle was a windmill who taught at MIT, and he taught, you know, Luigi, you know, and he was, people say he's the best. Like, I can't wait till it's total nonsense mush, you know, and they're just like feeding him jelly beans to keep him going. Because some of the people, we talked about it earlier, 17%. Oh, okay. Thank you, Thorben. Thank you. Correct. Please speed up. But like, this is my other thought. If they didn't like how we all mourned Charlie Kirk, they ain't gonna like how we mourn other people, let's just say. Because there's going to be dancing in the street. Lionel Richie, get your song Dancing on the Ceiling ready. Play it live, downtown Times Square. But I'm excited because we talked about 17% of adults are MAGA. So that means they'll do anything. Like, if, you know, if the president says,
And the fact that 300 million people died last year from drugs, that's what's illegal.
If the president says 300 million people died last year in America from drugs, and there's only 340 million people here in America, they will be like, yes, sir. It was a tragedy. I lost everyone in my family. But they'll do it. So you got to think, when the dementia starts really ramping up, you know, and it's like just nonsense, you know, he's like, really, you know, just I don't even know what's gonna happen, but it's gonna be a mess, and there are gonna be people who are just fully devoted, you know, Fox, Megyn Kelly is going to be doing a whole show about how smart he sounds right now. And really, we've always been getting the words wrong.
Azerbaijan and Albania.
And Joe Rogan's going to think you're babies.
Do you think we're babies?
And we're going to say,
Your brain's cooked.
yeah. They're going to have to mark a space for a public bathroom in the graveyard. Oh. Seriously though, 80 is hard. We need to make some rules. Teal, I've been saying this forever. I've been saying 55 should be the retirement age. By the way, they're trying to raise the retirement age on you. Just so you know. On all of us. We should all be fighting back. We should all be fighting back. This is absolutely disgusting that they're trying to raise the retirement age. Look at this. Gritty is the way, by the way. This is the way. Trump administration considers raising retirement age to save Social Security from insolvency. Here's your regular reminder that we could guarantee Social Security for all by simply removing the income cap, because it's capped, and the people who make the most money by exploiting people and not paying other people a correct amount of money don't pay into it, because they were like, we don't care, we're not going to. So instead of raising the retirement age, we should just remove the income cap. So them considering this is class war. It's all class war. There's no culture war. When you see that little culture war thing on Tim Pool's screen, just know that is a signifier that he's probably paid by David Gregorius, a made-believe person, so Russia can continue to have him try to influence working people. You know, skate park in West Virginia or something. I don't know. It's very weird. People take him serious. Thomas Massey's been doing some good work. But I've always said, who was it? Was it Teal? Teal. I've always said, lower the retirement age to like 50. Well, I've said 55. I've changed it. 50. Lower retirement age to 50. Again, paid for by billionaires. And nobody over 50 can run for political office. Once you're 50, you're done, you're out. You don't get the new technology. You're irrelevant to what young people are facing. Just like, you know, you got to be 35 to run for president. Okay, so why not cap it? Just like we have a minimum wage, how about a maximum wage? We should have all this, you know? No. I wasn't saying 55 for government retirement. I meant the workers, and also government people. But in general, 55 for everybody else. Everybody gets to retire at 55. Well, 50. And then 55 for government. 55, you cannot run for office. You have to retire. You have to get the fuck out. And we make it illegal to work for any corporation. If you go into public service, you can never again go into banking, a corporation, any kind of, you can open a small business, and small business also needs to be refined. Again, I've made up like a lot of stuff in my mind about how the country should go. And one of those other things is you always hear small businesses are under 500 employees. And that's bullshit, because Tom Brady has a small business, but he's like a billionaire. So it should be done by revenue. Like, what is the revenue of the business? Fuck the employees, because they could just hire all AI and be like, I have no employees. Hi, my name's Bill Gates. I have no employees, you know? So it should be by revenue, how much revenue they're bringing. Who's been the youngest president? Isn't it JFK? I want to say. I would like to. Are we at war with Australia? No, I love my Aussies. Oh no, what happened? Maybe I'm not up on the latest news. Again, it's Sunday, folks. So this is a very Sunday edition. This is the Lord's Day, and the Lord would want them to release the files. Jesus said you got to protect the children. He said for anyone to cause a child to stumble, you might as well tie a weight around your neck and walk into the ocean. Those are Jesus's words, not mine. So we should be protecting the kids, not putting Ghislaine Maxwell in a camp, not releasing the PH files, but the F files, so we can hold all of them accountable. If you believe in Jesus, you believe in this. Again, Jesus said it. He said, if you cause a child to stumble, tie something around your neck and walk into the ocean. That is what Jesus said. It's in the Bible. So release the files. Let's hold these people who cause kids to stumble accountable. It's the only way. But they be out here like, we don't talk about Jeffrey. No. By the way, nobody identified what kind of hyena this is. I do not know, but I have a wild hyena. So if anybody could help me identify what species of hyena this is, I would be grateful to you. By the way, KRAR, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Wait, Duffy, interesting. What happened? Was Roosevelt really the youngest? I didn't know that. I always thought it was JFK. Maybe he just looked the youngest. But young people in the olden days looked older than young people look now. You know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I got a deck of the presidents over there. I'll look it up for next time. Oh, do you hear me? That's how old I am. I'm like, I have a card deck of the presidents when, you know, I forgot I had the internet. I'm like, I have a card deck of all the presidents. I could go get it and look it up. Oh my Christ, guys. Let's see. Oh God, AI, shut up. List of the presidents by age. We'll go to Wikipedia. Support Wikipedia. Theodore Roosevelt at age 42. Wait a minute. Then how old was JFK? He was the youngest person elected as president at age 43. The youngest person to become U.S. president was Roosevelt at age 42, who succeeded the office after the assassination of McKinley. The oldest person inaugurated was Donald Trump, just so you know. But then it says Kennedy was the youngest person elected as president. He was also the youngest president at the end of his tenure. We know how that went. Interesting. Washington was 57. Adams was 61. Jefferson, 57. Jackson, that bastard. Take him off the 20 and put Tubman on there. Tubman is a hero. I hope everybody knows that. Harriet Tubman, look into her life. She's more of a hero than Jackson, than half these punks. Lincoln was 52. Grant, 46. Grover. We had a dude named Grover. That's what people are going to think of when they hear Donald. They're going to be like, what, did a duck become president? Shut up. Taft, how much do you weigh? Does it give a weight on here? No. Because who's the fattest? It must be Donald Trump. By the way, did you see this? Listen, Donald Trump claims he's 6'3". Wait, who's saying? Duffy, love you, boss. Keep grinding. Off to work. Oh, you're working on the Lord's Day? Well, stay safe. Don't work too hard. We're pushing for a 3-day work week, all right? 3-day work week for everybody. Retire at 50. We can make America awesome, guys. We're like, Duffy, I don't know what you like to do. If you like to sing, paint, ride bikes, surf, play basketball, but you should be doing that 4 days a week. Trump is 6'3" and only 230 pounds. Yeah, Moxie, so you know that, right? Let me show you something. I want to show you something. A little something special that you guys, since you're still here, you'll get. 6'3" Prince William next to 6'3" Donald Trump. And I had to look it up because I was like, Prince William's not 6'3". He is. Or that's what the internet says. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Let me just pose it like this. Everybody get a good look at that, right? Everybody get a good look at this? 6'3" Prince William. 6'3" Donald Trump. Everybody get a good look at this? We're seeing, like, you know, he's kind of at his eye line. I just want to remind you, because it is a very SuNdAy. He who is faithful in very little is also, he who is faithful in very little thing is also faithful in much. He who is dishonest in a very little thing is also dishonest in much. So did everybody get that? Is everybody getting that? Hey, welcome to my church service, okay? We do like a real world church integration because they're both 6'3". This isn't an optical illusion. And then, you know, so Trump looks, that's what I thought. He's like 5'11" and a quarter, but you know. King Washington, you should go look up what Prince William is. I did this. I've already done this. I know. This is what I mean. King Washington. It's in your name, King, so you might be, a little biased towards people who proclaim themselves as king. But I'm just telling you what the interwebs say, okay? And again, He who's faithful in very little things also faithful in much. He's who dishonest in a little things also dishonest in much. King Washington, I would just ask you, do you consider marriage a little thing? Because he cheated on all 3 wives. Not Prince William. He's only had 1. The guy who had 3. And he said stuff like, I moved on her like a bitch. And he didn't get there. If you don't believe me, we'll take a moment so you can hear your king, not my president.
I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there.
He even says he couldn't get there. And who says, have you ever been hanging out with guys and one of them says, I moved on her like a bitch? Would you not like look sideways at them, feel like, what are you talking about, dude? You moved on her like a female dog? What? He referred to himself as that. This is hilarious. Okay, let's see. Kennedy. Age at start of presidency, 43. So where was, okay, Roosevelt, 42. 42 and 322 days. And then Kennedy was 43 and 236 days. You know what's the craziest thing? Is Kennedy was the 35th and Teddy Roosevelt, not the other one, not FDR, was 26. So they were within 10 presidents. But you think of that as like such a space age away. Bankruptcy 6 times. That's right. Set the record for bankruptcies. President Reagan. My friends and I do not talk like that. Exactly. He's just a nerd, you know? Like he's just a sad, pathetic Nepo baby who always wants to be cool, and now that he has power and money, he is out for revenge to all those who teased him. KRAR. I would be like, what the right? I would be like, you did what? You moved on her? But here, let me just show you also, because he was with Billy Bush, and Billy Bush was so excited that Donald Trump.
I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there.
Oh, my man.
And that's Billy Bush. Like, the amount of yes-menery and placation and you're the coolest. And nobody, it reminds me of Polio Rogan. You know, nobody can just say, like, bro, shut up. You're not a comic. You're stealing jokes from Brendan Schwab. Just shut up. Just shut up. You know, Palantir and Peter Thiel's Spotify gave you a ton of money. Just be grateful, you know. Setting the record for impeachment and felonies as president, too. That's right, a lot of records. He's a dog breeder, maybe? I don't think an animal has ever been around Donald Trump. I'm going to be very, very real with you. All right, guys. Hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell. It's good to see President Reagan back. Moxie time. KRAR. Teal, Rochelle, Thorben, Thorn. Appreciate you guys. I love this community. I hope you join this community. We're building it out. We got people across the world. Antifa unite. Anti-fascists. Oh man. Hopefully more of you become anti-fascists like my grandfather who fought in World War II on the American side. It's amazing you gotta point that out. Oh, are you in the UK? Here in the UK, Farage is the UK politician with the most expensive scandals. We need to help these people stop getting fooled. I mean, that's what I say. Listen, these people with billions of dollars, they're very irresponsible. They are not faithful with little, and they are dishonest with much. Antifa unite, solidarity, anti-fascists everywhere unite. We only come together every so often when fascism takes a hold, but we're here and we're standing strong. Just like my grandfather fought the Nazis in WW2, we're here again doing it in a virtual space. So I appreciate everybody who has hit subscribe. I heard Trump's admin hates him. Well, here's the thing, Thorben. I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I played some audio. Stephen Miller and there's this other dude. There's a great historian, Heather Cox Richardson. She's in my video yesterday. I linked her video down below. She kind of breaks down some of the people that are pulling the puppet strings right now because Donald clearly is old as F and we all shuffle loose this mortal coil, so he's losing control more and more. And there's a few people that are really just hell-bent on hatred, that are pulling the strings. And that's why you see this power panicking right now, this grasp for control. And because, let's face it, we just read on Wikipedia, he's the oldest dude out here. And if you watched any clips of him, heard him talk, anything, he's not getting smarter. He's not getting sharper. That's just the facts of it.
Azerbaijan and Albania.
Oh, Azerbaijan and Albania. Okay. But I think he put a lot of more loyal men. If you, I talked about this on a live stream months ago. He had a new hiring thing for people to work for the government, and it was basically like a loyalty oath. So really scary stuff. But there's more of us than, this is why they're called the 1%. There's more of us than them. And if we all come together, unite, and like I talked about yesterday, protest or be disobedient in our own way, cancel Disney Plus, like I do, speak out against this stuff, create a space where people can understand that this is not normal. This is fucking insane. We have the president taking planes from Qatar, meme coins, selling stuff while he's in the presidency, opening golf clubs with our taxpayer money in the Epstein files. Like, this is not okay. This is way fucking crazy. And if enough of us, remember, MAGA is only 17% of the US adult population per that poll. So if we just go, no, that's what Antifa is. Anti-fascism is confronting racism, confronting authoritarianism, confronting injustice. If we stand up and say, nah, we had it. You know, that whole take our country back that they used, I always said, I would see these people driving around and go, from who? From who? Who owns our country? Think about that. It's the billionaires. It's the powerful. It's the oligarchy. Isn't that right, Graham Plattner?
And the enemy is the oligarchy.
Well, listen, some of MAGA is still acting like,
Yeah, we're all trying to find the guy who did this and give him a spanking.
that's what MAGA is still acting like, but we know. So, hosted MMA on the White House lawn, right? Turning the White House lawn into a Tesla parking lot. It's we got a long road to hoe, but we can do it. So, appreciate you, Thorben. Zen Space, Zen Place. Teal, everybody who's here. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys. We're going to take this country back. Then we're going to have a 3-day work week. No more medical debt. Universal basic income. We're going to let the robots do the work for us. We're going to tax billionaires into extinction. They can just be fine being 999 millionaires. No kid will go hungry. We have 25 empty homes for every homeless person in America. We'll give every homeless person a house. We're going to make this fucking land rad again. Okay? All right. Have a good one. Hit subscribe. Peace.